or maybe Ryu Aphromoo, it's going to be a bit different.
And I love to see somebody playing protective supports when you have somebody like WildTurtle as your AD carry. Because when I think WildTurtle, I think mechanical talent and I think aggressive. And when you combine those two things, you have someone who can find themselves in a spot where they can be punished if they go too hard. But as long as JJ's right there and he's got his back, Turtle can do what Turtle does and make those crazy mechanical plays.
Yep, and he doesn't need his own shell this game. JJ is going to provide it for him once again, 4 times in a row here on this Braum. So JJ has played 6 games, 4 of them will be on the Braum, and he's looked great on it so far.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They'll lock the Braum in for FlyQuest while 100 Thieves are immediately thinking about the Kindred that we've seen so much of recently. Shout out to you in particular as one of the people a couple weeks back in the office that said, hey, I think Kindred's pretty good. Then all of a sudden, Kindred was pretty good.
Yeah, I also said a lot of things about things like Aatrox.
We're not mentioning, we're not going to mention all the other stuff. We're mentioning the relevant stuff.
No, you open that can of worms. Okay, anyway, Kindred for 100 Thieves.
Putting the lid back on.
This means that they won't be playing funnel. It means they're playing a jungler of some kind, and so that'll be Kindred there. They're going to be playing standard, which means they'll be going up against WildTurtle and JJ in the bottom lane here, and it won't be a funnel Cody composition.
But we talked 3 whole minutes ago about how yesterday the draft looked really solid for 100 Thieves. And when you start off going Kindred Mundo in your first couple of picks, you've got some power already.
Yeah, you have power. Despite it not being what's been getting you the wins with a funnel composition, it's still going to be a good suit. And once again, FlyQuest, Varus, Braum, 3 games in a row. Can they make it 3 wins in a row with these 2 champions?
They'll have the Trundle complementing them. We've seen this champion played so much, not just in recent history, but just honestly, for quite a long time now, Trundle has been relevant. The ability to make the enemy tank not tanky. The ability to provide that extra annoyance through the pillars and make it so opponents can't get away. Very strong champion, very capable duelist as well in the world of Scuttle Crabs. Fighting around at level 2. As Lucian is locked in for 100 Thieves, Cody Sun will be piloting that against this Varus Braum of Turtle and JJ.
Interesting. This will be the 3rd time that he has played Lucian in this split. 1 win, 1 loss for him. But one of those wins was up against FlyQuest back in week 2, right when FlyQuest got their bearings afterwards. And both these teams have been on big upticks. Both these teams lost their first 2 games of the split.
Yep.
And then for 100 Thieves, in their last 6 games, they're 5-1. And for FlyQuest, their last 6 games, they're 5-1 as well. Both these teams have the last 2-3 weeks pretty much be exactly the same in terms of performance. They are both looking incredibly strong, and these may be currently the top 2 teams in the league going head-to-head.
The bans come around in the second half of the draft to be Morgana banned out by FlyQuest and 100 Thieves taking out the Gnar. You see so much of that when you have the Mundo in the first half of the draft. Gnar and Darius, if your opponents haven't already drafted their top laner, very common bans to see, just like what you expected us to see. And we did see in game number 1 as Morgana and Pyke will be banned out by FlyQuest. Pyke, one of those champions that we picked up from EU during Rift Rival.
I don't think Aphromoo picked it up from them.
He had been playing it for a while before then, but
yeah.
we hadn't been seeing it up until that event, after which we started seeing it in LCS.
Exactly, but that's why they banned it, is because Aphromoo, I was expecting a Pyke or a Morgana here for him, but I love that they throw both the bans at him. The Alistar is a little different. The Alistar is going to be more of the engage for 100 Thieves. I like this suit for them, gives them a lot of pick potential. Aphromoo with the Alistar is just a classic for him, but means that WildTurtle's gonna have to play even better here.
And I really like the fact that they did take some hard engage, considering if you look at your top laner, you've got Mundo, who just throws cleavers and runs at people, and you've got Kindred in the jungle, who's not an initiator, more of a carry. But FlyQuest will finish out their squad by grabbing some firepower in the top lane with the Gangplank, as well as drafting the Orianna in the mid lane for Keane.
Yeah, and FlyQuest, they have 3 of the same champions that they had yesterday: Trundle, Varus, Braum, and it seems like what they do is they kind of plug and play their solo laners based on power picks, and that's kind of been the draft strategy for them, is Varus, Braum, basically 3 times in a row here, and then they've swapped the jungler around once, Trundle twice, and then if they can get Zoe, they do that, but it's really been a consistent kind of draft for FlyQuest. Like you said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and that's kind of been how FlyQuest have been getting their wins. They aren't trying to change a whole bunch, because what they've been doing since they brought JayJ in has been working for them.
And this goes back to what I said at the end of the last game about follow your heart. Yeah, it sounds memey, and yeah, it sounds like something from a feel-good movie at the end. But at the same time, when you're in the middle of a meta where everyone seems confused and everyone's running around trying to figure out, well, how do I play League of Legends now? If you can find a way that works for you to play League of Legends, who cares what everybody else says? If you're winning, if you find what makes you win, do that thing.
Spoken like a true Skarner one trick.
Yes, I followed my heart.
And you never looked back.
Never look back, not even once. But these teams will be heading on to the Rift just momentarily. Remember, this is the first game of the second half of the split, that second round robin for both of these teams. And with them both sitting towards the top of the standings, getting that win, propelling themselves even further forward is a great way to start it off.
Absolutely, and these teams are at the top of the standings. 100 Thieves were in the finals last split. FlyQuest missed playoffs, but right now they have so much momentum behind them. And these teams have been winning in the last few weeks, but if you want to talk about winning, I know that there's the ULAL College Champions, UCI, in the audience right now, gearing up to go over to China to represent North America in the Global College Championships. It'll be in a few weeks.
Shout out to UCI. Best of luck to them when they go to compete. But today, the competition that we've got our eyes on is FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves. Who will walk away with the win here? Will FlyQuest be able to make that 3 wins in a row with this Varus Braum bottom lane? Can JayJ set up Turtle for that kind of success that we saw FlyQuest have yesterday in that absolutely dominant victory that they had?
Yeah, FlyQuest, they pretty much smashed Clutch. They had an 11-1 and 7 performance for WildTurtle, and then he was even like, I didn't do anything special. Like, everybody loved Turtle's performance except for Turtle. Turtle was like, no, I didn't do anything flashy. His team supported him, gave him the space, and that's kind of Varus' job. Varus is one of the highest DPS marksmen in the game, but people don't realize that because they usually kill him very quickly. If a Varus is left untouched or unchecked, I always think back to Prey and Gorilla where they would play Janna and Varus, right? Where the Janna would peel for him, and then he could stand there. And it was like, why are the Korean Varuses so much better than the North American ones?
Turns out if you actually get to shoot your arrows, you do a lot of damage.
Yep, you play in that, even though he has 575 range, you play in that 500 range, you have people protect you, you're gonna be able to maximize damage and have a lot of wiggle room to move back and forth with and kite around. So trying to optimize your damage output involves you being very close to the enemy and in their range. So WildTurtle, he's had that cover, and it's been something that's made the difference for them, and he's been coming up huge in the last few weeks.
If he can continue that performance, like you said, this is FlyQuest not looking like a team that'll be left out of playoffs right now. This is FlyQuest sitting on a 5-4 record coming out of the first round robin. And if they keep this momentum up, you could very well see them be a force to be reckoned with as we move on through the second half of the summer split. Keane on this Orianna this time around. We've seen him have some incredible Zoe games so far. I want to see how well he can do on the Orianna this game. He's played this champion before plenty of times. Going up against a Ryze. This is like a blast from the past kind of matchup. I remember we used to see so much of both of these champions.
And when Cassiopeia was in the rotation.
Yes.
Right? It was the Orianna beats Cassio, Cassio beats Ryze, Ryze beats Orianna. So it's a old school counter pick, but at the same time.
Rock, paper, snake.
Yeah. It was the,
one of my favorites.
Yeah, I like that name for it. Santorin, though, going for level 2 gank onto Ssumday, who actually is going to hit level 2 right here.
Hits level 2 as the barrel gets placed down. Does manage to just barely clip it out ahead of time, as now Santorin makes his way up here, forces the flash out. Pillar still comes down, but they aren't tanky enough to try a dive at level 2. They'll take the Summoner Spell and walk.
Yeah, they get the Summoner Spell out of Ssumday, and Ssumday's been performing incredible. We talk about the fact that WildTurtle's been performing well. All 3 people, including Meteos on the analyst desk, were saying if they had to assign a mid-season MVP right now, it would be Ssumday. It was
Meteos put him above Sneaky.
Exactly. That's love right there. Both are former teammates. You know, and he's just saying someday I can't be too biased for Sneaky. Sometimes performance will actually put you above love.
Well, bottom side of the map right now, Cody Sun and Aphromoo do have control over the wave for the time being. Pretty even competition between these two. As you can see, the first mark of the Kindred has been acquired for Onda. He did manage to grab that one for himself, thanks to that mark spawning correctly.
Yeah, he had spawned on the top side. Santorin killed it, and then he just did a jungle clear and then waited for it. So
I learned that strategy yesterday while watching the games myself, because as someone who's never played Kindred, I didn't know what the proper way to go about farming the marks was. So recognizing that you need to let the extra camp cycle and allow the second crab to have the mark possess it, it's what you've got to do to make sure you hit that 4-stack ever so important mark and get that win.
Yeah, you want to hit the 4-stack, but even in a good game, you want to hit it as fast as possible. The 75 extra range is crazy. Like, it's funny to talk about because when champions get range buffs, they like shoot up in win rate very heavily. Kai'Sa, for example, right? It's like, oh, just give her 25 more range. It wouldn't be a problem at all. Oh,
you won't even notice it, except you will.
So whenever Kindred gets that extra range and goes from 500 to 575, it feels so good. And then you get rapid fire cannon in some of the builds, depending, because we've seen a lot of Blood Razor into Black Cleaver for the cooldown reduction, some rapid fire cannons, some Runaan's Hurricanes. It goes all over the place. And I actually think Kindred builds are pretty versatile, depending on what your needs are.
Yeah, I've seen Warrior sometimes. I've seen Blood Razor sometimes. There's a lot of things. I was actually talking to Kobe in the office the other day about it, just getting his thoughts on how the different itemizations for the champion end up working out. He seemed to be a pretty big fan of Blade of the Ruined King and Black Cleaver in there.
Yeah.
We'll see exactly how Onda wants to go about this game because there aren't a lot of tanks to shred, but Aphromoo eating a lot of damage in the bottom lane. Turtle and JayJ will not finish him off there.
I was about to have
some of their spells expended.
I was about to have some flashbacks, but oh man. Flame getting pushed out of lane by Ssumday. His briefcase, he'll have it up again before the recall completes.
Yeah, he just stood there. He's like, you know you got to stop.
And is there.
And to make this dive happen, Ssumday's going to tank up the turret. Okay.
Mundo, he's out.
Mundo says, you don't even get an assist. I got this taken care of.
Yeah. Ssumday gets the solo kill there. Anda had the pressure, but Ssumday just walks under. So the fact that the recall was interrupted, okay. It's like,
you remember what we talked about last game about
I forgot.
coming bottom? Where he was like, sometimes all you need is the encouragement of a friend, even if they didn't actually help.
Well, he stopped the recall and cut off a retreat route. So
he also encouraged.
That's true. That's true.
Friend.
He wouldn't have been that aggressive without it. But Flame has to blow the TP, doesn't blow the flash and all that. But remember, this is Ssumday who had no flash for that entire thing, and Flame just took the damage saying, I don't want to use my flash to avoid it. And so he wasn't healthy when the dive came through.
Giving over that money to the Mundo does mean Ssumday can buy the Ninja Tabbies completely as he returns back to the lane. Ninja Tabby very effective at negating the damage both from the Gangplank and from the Trundle if he decides to come back towards that top side. So Ssumday will quickly find himself in that spot where you just don't waste the time trying to kill Mundo anymore.
Yeah. Maybe throw out the ultimate later in the game and try to shred him, because it actually does affect the Mundo pretty heavily. But Santorin spotted out on this ward, so there's been some good warding going on so far. And like you said, seen some different builds for the Kindred. This looks like a warrior potentially into Blade of the Ruined King afterwards for Anda.
Which I like. I mean, if you look at the targets he's going to be shooting, you've got a squishy top laner, you've got standard squishy mid laner and AD carry, and you really don't want to be putting a lot of bullets into a Braum or a Trundle. So I like the approach that he's taking this game. Santorin putting down some wards in the river there. We're not seeing any early cheeky Drake plays from either team this game. Not like what we saw from Cloud9 the last time around. Neither one of these squads really seeing the opportunity to go for that in a way that's not overly risky. As the second round of the buffs will start spawning, and we'll see the junglers move towards those reds to pick them up. Keane just trading back and forth with Ryu here a little bit in the mid lane. Level 6 available on solo laners across the board now. Level 7 actually for Ryu's Ryze. So plenty of playmaking potential with those ultimates depending on where they want to allocate those boosts.
A pretty defensive ward from JayJ as well, making sure that there isn't a roam through that area. Even though they have a ward inside of the pixel brush, really kind of just covering wards that would go a little bit deeper, which is actually kind of interesting because I would expect the ward to want to be placed further up so you can actually protect your bottom side. And Anda going top, Flame can go. Flash.
Flashes out, throws the ultimate down on top of himself, and still doesn't have a chance. The damage and the rundown potential from Ssumday and Anda put him in the grave.
And you can see that Anda playing to the top side here. And Meteos was saying, you know, Ssumday doesn't take a lot of resources. He doesn't normally. He can actually just have even matchups and come out on top. And losing matchups, he'll go even. And that's just the way he's been playing, is he makes something out of nothing. And it's been so beautiful to watch this split. And you're seeing kind of the whole talk about Ssumday before he came over here, how he's such a good player. And he was pretty much tied with Smev in terms of best top laner in the world at the time.
Sometimes you just got to ask the question, when my top laner can make something out of nothing, what can he make out of something? And Anda's trying to answer that question today by giving him some love.
Yeah, walks up there, and Flame goes up for the wave because it's frozen. And there it is, just gonna get the slow afterwards. It allows Ssumday to catch up. Ssumday says, no, you don't get this barrel. And just hits him, and the kill goes over to Anda. So Anda, you know, gets gifted that one. So he's gonna complete his warrior, and it makes the jungler and the top laner both ahead here.
2-0 for 100 Thieves so far this game. 700 gold ahead of their opponents. Pretty much what you would expect from a couple kills being under the belt.
Oh, Scuttle.
Scuttle Crab spawning with the mark on it means 100 Thieves want to make sure they maintain priority over this one. Give that one over to Anda so he can continue building those marks. Still only has the one that he got earlier. Despite the fact that he got the kill onto Flame in the top lane, he was not able to mark him successfully beforehand.
Yeah, he's just marked Santorin because when you mark somebody, they'll just start backing up. Like, you don't want to give away that you're going to gank somebody. One of my favorite things to do is if my bottom lane, if I'm ganking top,
You mark bottom?
I mark bottom, but only if like the bottom lane is going in, I mark them as they go aggressive and they start backing up. Right? Even though I'm not on that side of the map.
Mind game.
It's really cool. You don't get yourself a mark, but you do actually prevent like your bottom lane from feeding, which is something that junglers always wish they could do.
It's a mystery that I've been trying to solve for 8 seasons, my friend.
Gotta play Kindred. Just mark the bottom lane when they go aggressive. Like back up.
Like, get the hell out of there. But they're not going to get out of there today as WildTurtle decides it's time to make a fight happen. Cody Sun going to be knocked up into the air. More damage coming through. The piercing arrow going to be flashed away as Cody will not allow that kill to come through. Aphromoo walking away now as well. Both sides feeling hurt.
Yeah, and that's going to be Santorin actually zoning them even further off. He's gone through the jungle. He's going to go towards this bottom side. Cody Sun has teleport, and he may TP back to the turret just to apply that pressure because WildTurtle doesn't have his TP.
Yeah, Aphromoo stays in the lane. Teleport back from Cody Sun to make sure they hold on to this turret nice and
Make sure he
easy.
can't be dove. Ooh, that's actually it's an iffy ultimate.
Ryu wants to come in onto this one, gets Anda in there in time, but not in time to actually grab the kill. Instead, they just move in. They block Flame away from the creep wave. They make him waste his ultimate, but they still can't find the kill after putting 3 bodies topside, which means FlyQuest gets some free time to hit this turret mid lane.
Yep, but hold on. FlyQuest, it might not be as free as they think, because here comes Aphromoo, Cody, and Ryu. They're flanked from both sides.
But here comes reinforcements from FlyQuest as well. It's going to be a bloodbath. Keane going to be taken low, taken down first. Cody Sun grabbing the kill onto that one as JayJ now has to get back with the Unbreakable. Damage comes through, it won't be enough, but that's still going to go the way of 100 Thieves and make it a double as they grab themselves first turret in the top side.
100 Thieves have just been doing so well with their macro play. That was Ryu going to the top side using the ultimate, and then he walks back mid and they just mistime it. They didn't have priority bottom because remember, the TP came through from Cody Sun. WildTurtle had the back to go by and he was low, so they knew the bottom lane couldn't be there either, and it was just so well played from 100 Thieves to just coordinate that. And Aphromoo, oh, wait, I think the stacks last longer than that. Yeah, they do.
Turtle grabs the kill onto him for free and gets the stopwatch to go with it. Okay, forget what I said about free. It's a trade. Support for support. JayJ cut down by Ryu.
Sometimes you just got to stand in front of him for the AD carry. Just, you got to take one for the support. He takes one for you all the time. Let's get back a little. Stand in front of the overload. But right here, this was so well played from Ryu. Comes in from the side. Aphromoo with the flash, headbutt pulverize. Keane blows the cleanse. Means he isn't actually rooted for that long. We see Ryu also flashed away from the shockwave to make sure he's not sucked in and put in a bad position.
Well done by the Thieves, who now sit on a 2,500 gold lead with their 4-1 advantage over their opponents. 1 turret up as well, which is contributing a lot to that. And there's that attention that we were talking about. Let's go back to where we were earlier. Ssumday, the man who's normally just left to his own devices, have fun on your island, do what you can do, we trust you. Now who's been given this attention so far 3 different times this game. Anda, and then Anda plus Ryu showing up at the top side to provide him extra pressure and extra opportunity, and he's made a lot of things happen.
Yeah, Anda's been doing a fantastic job. Just back, got his Zerker Greaves, and now you can see all of FlyQuest were like, the Scuttle Crab has a mark, we got to get this thing. Everybody just showed up.
Eat up the crab.
Everybody wanted to make sure that he doesn't get that stack, because right now, Anda's at 2 stacks, 2 of them off of Scuttle Crabs. If he gets that 3rd one, then he's just 1 more away. A kill, a bad team fight for FlyQuest, which that's the way things have been going so far, would mean that he'll hit that 4-point pretty early in the game, especially for competitive play. Is there a
mark in terms of the clock when you normally want to have 4 or you feel like you're behind the 8 ball a bit?
So usually, in my opinion, when I'm playing like a whole bunch of Kindred, it's around 18 minutes is where I really want to have it. If I don't have it, I consider myself behind, because that's when I'm really having team fights and I'm in range of all these mid laner and top laner and like marksman. That if I'm 500 range and they have a marksman, it means that I can't hit them without them being able to hit me at least like half a second before I'm even in range. So I usually around the team fighting phase 18 minutes.
2v2 bottom side. Aphromoo going in, looking to start this one off on the JayJ. Cody Sun wants to follow it up. Anda going to make his way down here as well. You're going to see reinforcements coming in from FlyQuest in the form of Santorin. Everybody backing away now as Aphromoo is too low to continue the fight.
And it's just been really well played here from JayJ. This matchup where it's the Braum into the Alistar, he's just been winning it over and over again in terms of just the lane phase. Walking up, contesting the Alistar, punching him and then throwing Qs. And hold on right here.
Here we go again. JayJ pops the stopwatch, trying to buy a couple of extra seconds. More damage comes through. Ryu wants to go through the portal, instead backs away from it. One more auto attack will finish JayJ off. Anda grabs himself that one. Not in any real danger of being return killed, as he did have the lane fight anyway. But Ssumday decides it's time to go onto a Mundo rampage towards Flame. He'll be flashed away from. Oh, it's stasis into stasis. Ssumday's still gonna find the kill. Woo!
Oh, Ssumday's like, get out of my lane. He can't even be under turret. And right there, hold on, they're gonna try to get something back onto Ryu, but he's speedy. Phase rush.
The pillar will not do it. The phase rush gets him away, makes him immune to the slows that the pool around it would normally provide. And now, the Rift Herald summoned up means it's time for more pushing from 100 Thieves, more objectives for them to pick up. They'll grab the tier 1 in the mid lane and be on their way.
100 Thieves, they're not playing funnel, and the funnel for them yesterday even went bad. And when I look at this team that's in first place right now, in terms of just their gold difference at 15 minutes, 100 Thieves are actually averaging down 400 gold. They are the third worst team in the entire league at gold difference at 15.
They don't look like it this time.
Yeah, they win their games off of the fact that Ssumday is just a monster and clutch in the late game fights, and so everybody else is behind, and Ssumday's like dragging them over the finish line. Ryu has helped with the Vladimir multiple times, but if you just find some consistency with everybody and you could fit Anda in there, then it's going to look like this, where a 6-1 against a team that's contesting them for those top spots.
And this is serving to also justify this team's roster moves that happened midway through the split. Well, through the first half of the split, I should say. We're midway through the split right now. But all the questions coming from fans around bringing Anda in place of Meteos. How well is this going to work out? It seems to be working out pretty well when you can pick up kills like this.
Yeah, really enjoys the Kindred. You see, being aggressive there, goes after JayJ. As the W goes forward with the Q, puts down the ward just for that last shot to get the vision. And then Flame, he's just trying, the poor guy's just trying to farm. He's just trying to farm,
just
man.
Wants to play some League of Legends.
They're smacking each other underneath the turret. They get a moment to reminisce about the OG and LCK, and it's back to business. And Ssumday takes him down.
Corporate Mundo is a cruel and ruthless CEO. He is not going to allow him to stick around in that lane any longer.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to come back to the top lane.
By Friday. Either way, mid lane tier 1 turret about to drop. FlyQuest will pick that one up for themselves, but will they be punished for it? Ssumday's coming around from behind saying yes, they will. Decides to turn on the flames, go right into the back line. Instead, he's going to be stunned up, bursted down, but the Lamb's Respite will keep him alive as JayJ has to run away, nearly going to be taken down himself. Ryu continuing to throw out some more damage as 100 Thieves back themselves out. A nice save by Anda.
Yeah, a really nice save there on Anda to make sure that Ssumday doesn't die, because he also has the 450 shutdown gold that would go over to somebody if he dies here. But they just get to continue the siege. He gets to heal up. The Mundo passive, plus the fact that he had the ultimate running and he got saved, is huge. Now they get to continue the siege. That's the GP ultimate going to take care of a little bit of that. Ryu caught though.
Ryu blocked off by a very well-placed pillar, but they don't have the damage in time, and he gets out with his own ultimate.
He got blocked off by the pillar, so they didn't have a disruption effect to stop the channeling of the Realm Warp. And so Ryu makes it out just barely.
Orianna ultimate had already been used. Varus ultimate had already been used. Braum ultimate had already been used. With the pillar out, that's all the CC gone from the team. Literally nothing could have stopped that channel. Nice escape from Ryu.
Can't tell if Ryu's a genius and knew that he wouldn't die, because he didn't use his Seraph's Embrace, which already transformed.
Bottom side,
wasn't even sweating.
Oh, in some trouble. The dive comes through. Aphromoo not really even worried about this one. Hanging out on the edge of the turret as a good support. Doesn't even need to worry about using the ultimate there. He knows they got the firepower for it. They'll take down that tier 1 in the bottom side, continue to push, because they know FlyQuest is trying to trade tier 1s on the top side. Ssumday hanging around up here, just trying to buy some time, scare him off a little bit. Doesn't want to go in any deeper right now. Santorin is nearby. Finding himself in a 1 versus 3 is not ideal, even when you're ahead like Ssumday is. Yep. But bottom side, it's a tier 2 that will likely drop here in favor of 100 Thieves.
Yep, and it's the difference in the top laners here. And Keane's in trouble. Keane's gonna get caught. That's the flash.
Aphromoo wants to go in on this one. Headbutt, pulverize, see you later. Cody Sun, kill number 2.
Perfect play from Aphromoo. He knew he didn't have to use the headbutt from a long range because it takes you X amount of time to cover that distance because you go a certain speed.
It has a movement. It's not a blink.
So it's like if I go 500 units with a 500 speed, it's like, okay, well, he has a second to react to that thing. But if you just keep walking at him and you don't give him the time and just say, okay, this ability is going to come out the same speed, but it's going to be closer, so it has less distance to travel, it means you have way less time to react to it. So Keane wasn't able to flash in that small window because Aphromoo just held the ability for so long.
Thieves are playing on point today, making these plays happen across the board. Yeah, you concede your tier 1 turret in the top lane, but when you take the tier 1 and the tier 2 bottom and grab the kills along with it, that's a trade you'd make any day of the week. FlyQuest will grab that Scuttle Crab in the top side for themselves. Baron will be spawning here in about 30 seconds. Next Drake in 1 minute as well.
Something else here is that Anda hit the 4 mark period about a little bit earlier than the 18-minute mark. It was about 17-ish. And it took him from being 500 range to being 575, and now he has the rapid fire cannon as his second item. So he's gone from being a 500 range Kindred to now he has a period of time where he's 725 range. So a 225 added range, almost 150% of the range that he just previously had.
Very scary, especially when he's 3-0 on this pick so far. Speaking of scary, you've also got Ssumday with the Warmogs completed, so killing him has gone from almost impossible to seriously, this number should probably be 100% in terms of how much he won't die. That guy will not be dropping anytime soon. Ninja Tabby also means the only person who can really do some big serious damage to him is Keane, who's 0-2-0 on an Orianna, has 1 item completed along with a Sorcerer's Shoe, and honestly, just you're not worried about it when you're Ssumday and you have a health pool of 3,200.
And he's 3 levels up over Flame. Flame is struggling so hard this game. He's been camped to all hell. Like, this is the top lane you see when it's a funnel, right? When nobody's gonna get any jungle attention. He got the flash out of Ssumday early. There was no repeat gank to come get that Mundo down and get a kill, right? The trundle didn't revisit. It was Anda. It was Anda who came in twice, made it so that he dropped down 2 times. They got the first turret for Ssumday. They did so much to set this Mundo up, and Ssumday, he's just gonna have such a good time here.
Ryu will pick up the blue buff for himself as 100 Thieves with their 5,500 gold lead. Now that Baron's live, you can see all the vision that they have around that area of the map. Multiple control wards, multiple smaller trinket wards, sightstone wards there as well. Prepping this, they know that when they're this far ahead, this might be something you can start to force your opponents to come check.
Yeah, and the fact that they have so many control wards in that area as well, if they don't see the ward in the pit or outside the pit, so FlyQuest still have information, but Aphromoo caught out, gonna try to turn.
Pops the ultimate to turn things around. JayJ going to be taken low here. Ryu needs a little bit more damage to find the kill onto him. Unbreakable, nice job, gonna be blocking that one away. Flame grabs the kill onto Aphromoo there at the end using the ulti. That's a 1-for-0 for FlyQuest.
And that gets Flame back on the board there. This Gangplank needs to get gold quickly. They've actually purchased 2 Executioner's Callings, which is great for FlyQuest. You want to have 2 people who have grievous wounds on your team. And if it's not the Orianna going for like Morel and Namicon, then you need it on your physical damage dealers to keep applying it.
But when you do have to pay that extra tax, and I'm 100% in agreement with you in saying this, but I do have to point out the negatives of it as well. That sets Flame further behind in terms of completing the core build. When you're already just feeling like you're not on pace with the game, having an Executioner's Calling still isn't going to feel fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like he's at the point where it's like, what's getting even further behind at this point? He's pretty much out of the game, and if he can contribute something like Grievous Wounds, then that's going to be a lot more gold effective than having a lot of damage.
Oh, but here comes the pincer attack. Turtle in some trouble as Ssumday comes around for the back line. Cody Sun goes on a killing spree, and JayJ heads for the hills. Mundo doesn't care about those turrets at all. Shockwave finds its way onto Cody, who runs away. Lamb's Respite thrown down just in case. He's not going to stick around for the heal. Instead, just wants to reposition himself safely behind his teammates as 100 Thieves continue this pressure, continue this push, and have broken the enemy base without Baron. 23 minutes into the game, Ssumday still walking himself out of this one. 1/3 HP. Aphromoo turning around for the counterattack onto Keane as they unleash the damage onto JayJ. Anda over the wall, still trying to fight these guys. Jump back. And that is the sign for the Thieves to head home.
And they were just able to catch them out. WildTurtle getting pretty much run down the whole time. And Ssumday This is pretty much a game where when the tank gets ahead, it just feels so good. We're seeing it happen again. The Dr. Mundos, the Poppies, once they get ahead, they can just dive the backline. They can destroy marksmen by themselves, and it's so hard to peel them off. We'll see it right here where the Mundo is coming up from the bottom side, and he's even in front of where the Ryze is going in. So the root comes through, WildTurtle flashes. It doesn't matter. He tries to get the stun off. He does, but it's just not enough as the team is just rushing them down. And Ssumday's like, all right, I guess we're going after JayJ. And JayJ, they almost get Cody Sun. The ultimate comes out. JayJ recalls right there. I think it's faster to actually walk back to the base instead of recall in front of your Nexus turrets.
Maybe.
But
I'm not actually 100% sure.
I am pretty positive.
Okay, fair enough.
Unless you want to bait, that's the only reason.
Well, 100 Thieves are now in a spot where with one inhibitor down in the enemy base and with such a lead like they have, hanging around this Baron pit is the natural next decision, and walking towards that enemy blue buff pit does throw down a control ward that's immediately cleared out by FlyQuest, who now recognize that they're in a hard spot, but it's going to get a lot harder if their opponents can secure this Baron. They've got to do their best to stop this, prevent 100 Thieves from getting this setup in such an effective way that it becomes impossible for FlyQuest to actually contest. You can see on my way pings coming out from 100 Thieves towards the objective as they start this one up. Blue Trinket fired off into the pit.
Remember, they have
FlyQuest have to go.
2 Mountain Drakes, so it's going to go down even faster than they think.
Baron's down to 4K, but now they're looking to turn things back around as Ssumday dives onto Flame in the bottom side. The rest of the 100 Thieves squad knows that all they have to do is buy time now. Flame flashes away to get to the safety of the fountain, but Ssumday is still just running amok. He's now got free time to hit onto the tier 3 turret, and the rest of the Thieves immediately re-engage onto the Baron. They're not giving FlyQuest room to breathe or room to think. They're making them have to answer this, and they're not finding any answers right now. And it's Ssumday on the bottom lane inhibitor. It's JayJ caught out. It's Cody Sun on a rampage, and it's WildTurtle trying to 1v1 Anda. Does force out the Lamb's respite. He has to try to get himself away from this one, but Ryu goes over the wall to find the killing blow.
And man, meanwhile, Ssumday, he's going to get that second inhibitor. Ssumday is basically being the best top laner you could ever ask for on a team. Playing a tank, holding his TP. He doesn't need to be there. He's causing so much pressure, and he's just taking structures and taking the base, and they need multiple people to answer him.
This Baron is no longer contestable. 100 Thieves will walk away having that one for free. They'll even get a bonus prize along with it in that bottom lane. And now all you've got to do, you've got 2 inhibitors down, Zirene. You've got Baron up on 5 members. You can march it down top, take the last lane, and just secure the game.
And you can see how quickly they want to get back out on the map. Ryu just TP'd to that tier 1 turret, or tier 2 turret, to get the blue faster. He's like, I just got to cycle the jungle real fast. Let's go. And he wants to be out on the map. The recalls were coming through. They spot them with the control ward. Aphromoo, no hesitation, goes in knowing that they have this gold and numbers advantage, and Anda is flanking. So pick him up, get WildTurtle very low, and then Ryu goes over the wall, dodges the shockwave, because if he had gone through the choke point, he would have ended up there. So goes up, flashes the wall. Great execution there to get that kill.
It was a good shockwave placement from Keane. It was just read very well by the side of 100 Thieves. And getting out of his own Lamb's respite to make sure he wasn't pulled back into a bad spot.
Can they do it? Can they kill Ssumday?
Absolutely not. Nope. What are you talking about?
It's like,
way too strong.
I just like to see the raid boss fights.
No epic loot for them today as 100 Thieves continues the 4-man push down the top side, leaving Ssumday to escort the super minions there in the mid lane. Nice shockwave onto 2, and has exploded. No Lamb's respite available. Aphromoo will join him shortly. Ssumday continues to push into the enemy base, but that's a big pick for FlyQuest.
Yep, and Ssumday is going to go escort minions more and bring at least 2 people to him to answer this. Level 17, first person to hit it in the game as well. And now the 3rd Mountain Drake is on the table too.
If you thought 100 Thieves didn't have enough objective-taking power already, wait until you pick up mountain number 3. Ssumday on this Mundo, just 37 shy of 4,000 HP, working on the Thornmail next to make sure that Turtle, Santorin, and Flame are going to suffer those healing debuffs if they do decide to focus on him when he's running around in these back lines. We've praised this guy a lot this game, and honestly, we can't do it enough. He's just been the it factor for 100 Thieves this game.
Yep, there's a reason that it was unanimously he was going to be the mid-season MVP. There was a vote for it. Like, he has been performing so damn well.
FlyQuest did manage to find those picks in the top side, but that is just a stall at this point. They're buying time. They're saying, okay, we've got a little bit of time to recuperate ourselves now, a little bit of room to breathe, maybe throw down some vision. The Baron will not be as effective as it otherwise could have been. Still 1 minute left on that buff, though. 100 Thieves, 5 men strong once again. You can see things coming out onto the top side toward the minion wave. Ryu uses the ultimate to get there faster and make that push start up. They want to try to get something out of the back end of this buff.
Getting the inhibitor down again would be kind of the easiest thing to do, but they're trying to split the map. Remember, we think back to Ryu's Ryze in even just last split. The way that he splits with this champion, using the Realm Warp, using the pressure, especially when he has a Baron. I just think of the times where he's skirting around, trying to pull people to him, and 100 Thieves are pulling you apart when you play against them and they have this type of advantage. It's the annoying play style of playing the map that Prawley said he's a big proponent of.
100 Thieves have played the map well enough now to re-secure the mid lane inhibitor. Ssumday still just sits bottom, clearing out the minion waves, making it so there's nothing obstructing these super minions from just walking into the Nexus turrets.
Where's Cody going? Cody.
He's just hanging out. What are you doing? Good time.
Making sure the minions don't get cut or anything like that.
Yeah.
He's backing up slowly. Just giving time for, I guess, Ryu to push, but I'm looking at the way that 100 Thieves are ending this game. It's a little slow. Anda's going to go get that other mark on the red buff.
It is a little bit slow, but I mean, a big reason for that was the fact that the Thieves did overstep their bounds and get caught out by the Shockwave in the top lane there. You can see the Baron power play, not even 4 digits. You get 1,500 gold for killing Baron. So, yeah, not exactly where you would have wanted to see those numbers come up for 100 Thieves, but now the fight at the bottom side. Ssumday's going to be taking low. Lambs just fight to keep him alive. Onda having to hang around in there as well. Counterattack coming in. 100 Thieves still looking to turn this fight around. Cody Sun dashing back over the wall. But it's a killing spree for the side of FlyQuest. Aphromoo still looking to juggle Keane around. Ryu's made his way into the fight. Shockwave now down only on to Ssumday, who may just fall. The shutdown for WildTurtle.
And FlyQuest hold on. They end up getting 2 of the most fed members. They get shut down gold there for Ssumday in the top lane. And right now, they're just holding on just barely. The game is hanging in the balance by a thread.
This game has seemed so one-sided so far, but FlyQuest will make it a battle for 100 Thieves to try to end it here. 31 minutes into the game, it's still a 7,500 gold lead. It's still immensely 100 Thieves favored, but against those odds, FlyQuest now twice in a row have held on.
FlyQuest, maybe they can get back in this. The Shockwaves, WildTurtle also playing quite well this game, and even Santorin. It hasn't been a bad game for him at all. When the enemy gets ahead and you're playing something like Trundle, it is very easy to fall behind quickly. Yeah, they just kind of wait. They 3-man charge him down. Ssumday has no flash, so him walking up like that, he got a little overconfident. This right here is interesting because Lamb's Respite, when you hit 10% HP, you can no longer be damaged any further. It says no more healing or damage can come through, so Ssumday actually just regens a ton of HP during that time, and they can't actually bring it down. So it's kind of impossible to stop the regen at that point. But they still kill him, and you can see a lot of that damage is WildTurtle.
WildTurtle again. Let's go back to champion select. Varus and Braum. 3rd game in a row. They want to make it the 3rd win. And look at this, Zirene. FlyQuest are now on the offensive, pushing up into the territory of 100 Thieves on the tier 2.
And the reason is because Ryu's split pushing in the side lane. Ssumday is split pushing in the side lane. The 100 Thieves are 1-3-1ing. FlyQuest are saying 5-man mid, push, go, and it might be a race here. We'll see what happens.
Is this the base race? Is this the FlyQuest base race call into the enemy base? Aphromoo going to be taken low, take it down. This could be it. Ryu onto the inhibitor himself. TP going to be used here. By the side of 100 Thieves trying to come in and help. Gangplank ulti goes down. It's going to be Nexus turret number 1 taken down. FlyQuest still defending. Sound strikes are going to be used. FlyQuest on the Nexus. Thieves on the Nexus. It is point for point. And FlyQuest win! Holy hell! What a base race!
FlyQuest are behind. They throw down the gauntlet, and they win by a sliver of HP.
What a finale! The FlyQuest team making the call. Race for the base. And it wins them this game.
And it ties them for 1st place.
Tied with who?
with 100 Thieves.
The team that they just beat to the Nexus by a single auto attack.
That's a game where you say, we can't go through Ssumday. Let's go around him. Let's go to the Nexus. FlyQuest clawed it back in. And I don't even want to say that they clawed back in because that implies it was slow. This was, they jammed their way back into the game at the end of it.
That was absolutely incredible to watch.
That was the most exciting ending of a game that we have had all split long, potentially all year in the NALCS.
I could be an old man that don't remember my own name, sitting on my couch, and somebody will ask me, hey, what do you remember? And I'll say, you ever watch FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves? Because look at this ending.
The TP comes through first by Ssumday, and then the second TP right there from the Lucian says, all right, Cody Sun says, I need to be there to help. I can't actually help him out. It's so close.
What a win for FlyQuest.
The triple Mountain Drake only helps you take the turrets. It doesn't help you take the Nexus, to my knowledge, and the Nexus doesn't have any armor
Nexus,
MR.
Nexus isn't technically a structure. It's like its own special thing.
So I don't think you get extra damage from having Mountain Drakes there.
Yeah.
If you did, then I'm pretty sure they would have been able to be right there. It would have been like literally a hit away for either side. But that was so close.
I will never forget the ending to that game. That was...
Where were you when Thieves was
Where were you when I was at home watching game? No. What an absolutely phenomenal ending for FlyQuest. This team that, as we said at the beginning of this game, started off this split 0-3.
With the long break because they missed playoffs.
Yeah. Was not looking incredibly good, and now has completely turned that around. And to try to help us understand how FlyQuest pulled off that victory, let's send it down to Ovely and the Braum King in bottom lane.
Thanks, guys. JayJ, congratulations on that victory. What a chaotic end. Tell me, what's going through the team comms? Who made the call to end that base race?
Near the end there, I wasn't sure what we were going for because there wasn't a call at first, and we were all like, "Oh, wait, they can push and end the game." So we decided to just go for it, go through mid. I think Keane made the final call, and we all went through with it, and it ended up just barely working out.
Can you give us a little bit of an insight of who's yelling what at that time?
Honestly, I don't know. It was hectic. Everyone was just going, "Just end, hit the turrets, hit the Nexus, like." Don't worry about Kindred, screw Kindred, like doesn't matter, just end. So yeah.
And 100 Thieves was ahead for the majority of the game. So what was going on with the team trying to climb your way back into it?
So I think actually this is a position we haven't been put in a lot. Usually we're really good at like building leads and then kind of trying to snowball them through. And then that's where we make mistakes. This time we lost early and we were trying to claw our way back, but we played a comp we were super familiar with. Like I think we've played Varus Braum like 4 times now, so we knew like as long as we scaled and we played our team fighting correctly, we would be able to come back. And once we won we got 1 pick top onto Aphromoo and Nanda, I think, that's when I think I knew that we could come back.
And you and Turtle have been having some crazy performances in the bot lane, so tell me a little bit about your synergy with him and how that's affecting the team.
Yeah, so when I first joined the team, I think about a little over a month ago, me and Turtle were awful. We had no synergy, and we were losing, getting smashed almost every 2v2. And actually, like, Saint kind of took me aside and told me, like, dude, you're playing, like, god-awful. You need to go look at some VODs, play more solo queue. Like, you're in LCS now. You need to become a grind lord. So that's actually literally what I did. I just started playing way more solo queue, looking through a lot more VODs, and actually paying attention to what everyone's doing. And as well as me and Turtle would go over our 2v2s after every scrim, just look at what we did wrong. And I think that's how we improved and got to the point that we are now.
And it all worked out for you. Congratulations again on your victory, JayJ. And for more in the game, let's hear from the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Ovely. It all worked out is one way to put it. When was the last time we saw an actual base race conclusion to a game here in the NALCS?
That was a completely wild ending. I don't know. It's so long.
Something like that has actually been years.
Yeah, right.
Legitimately. Years.
There's like the really desperate ones where like one guy split pushing.
Right, you know it's not going to work.
Right.
This was one
This was
I mean,
raw.
legitimately,
And this is one they commit to when 100 Thieves were so far ahead in this game.
Oh, you can't save turrets with that ultimate, Onda. Oh, no. Yes, maybe some questionable decision-making from Onda late game, but I mean, really, what can you do there? That's just about which team is committing to the play harder and can output the most DPS to structures.
That was like 2 seconds, 1 second maybe.
Yeah.
From the other teams. I haven't seen that in forever. That was awesome.
That's why I'm looking at that, like, you start trying to min-max it, and you're like, if Onda walked forward, baited some damage, and then ulted and stayed in it the whole time, could he have delayed just long enough? It's tough.
I mean, I'm sure they will review the tapes. I'm sure these players are going to go home and mull this over. It's going to haunt 100 Thieves.
With the Kindred ultimate, right, if he uses it early anyways, they should just ignore him no matter what. Because he can't do enough damage to take any of them down. So that would just focus their damage more on the structures, which are unaffected from it.
I think it's pretty easy in hindsight to be like, oh yeah, obviously if you made 1 more second, you had it. I'm sure when he's in there, he's not thinking about that. But he could have played the situation better for sure. Just made like a little bit of time, but it's pretty hard to.
They lost the game. I was celebrating. I was like, I'm the only one who picked 100 Thieves.
Right.
I'm ahead of the predictions.
Well, we all knew blue side would win. Blue side advantage clearly came out ahead in this game.
Well, superior.
I mean, and let's be real. For 98% of that game, it was entirely 100 Thieves favored. In fact, the only clips we pulled were 100 Thieves favored. Let's get into some of those now and see where this advantage came.
I know that a lot of times we like to look at the team who won and say they did everything right, and the team that lost did everything wrong. But this game,
the team that lost did everything right except for the final thing.
Exactly, but we have to look at Flame here. I think that whether it was individual misplay from him or the team not helping him out enough, this was similar to the story last game where a team blind picks Mundo early and you have the counter pick. You need to punish this Mundo. But Flame took a very greedy setup on Gangplank running Kleptomancy with Sorcery, so he has no bonus health, making him very squishy, and he just wasn't able to survive anything. He just kept dying in this top lane, and from that point, there wasn't a whole lot FlyQuest could do to help him.
Style solo kill here.
Yeah, the double stopwatch comes out of it with the regen. A little bit more effective on Mundo, who's actually regenning up.
I think when you heal for your entire health pool, the stopwatch is going to help you a bit more.
That's a good point. I think what was important to look at there is FlyQuest were never able to answer anytime you went top. You need to be able to trade that pressure out. And the one time they finally did try it in the mid lane, they just got killed for it. So they were clearly not playing well around the fact that Mundo has a slight advantage in the laning phase there, but people still take that as a counter pick for the GP, and it just got completely ran over by Ssumday.
But if you are going to look at a bright spot for FlyQuest, it's the resilience that they showed in terms of the base defenses. Saying, hey, even when 2 inhibs are down, we're going to look for the right 5v5 team fight that gets us some advantages. It took a couple in a row, or maybe they got 1 kill or 2 to relieve that pressure, and then it all comes back down to that final base race off of a pick.
Yeah, resilience is so key in this game, and a lot of times people make fun of, oh, we're so far behind, and it's the joke of, oh, just farm for late, guys. You know, that's our only option.
We outscale.
Exactly. That's what people jokingly tell each other when the other people are down. Yeah. But you've actually talked specifically about FlyQuest and the kind of mentality in there, the culture of those guys, how they can still stay upbeat. And those are the games where, as ridiculous as it is that was a possible, comeback and win, that's what led to it.
I do think a huge part of this is FlyQuest's very good mental, because as you saw, this game came down to like 100 HP on a Nexus. In that situation, any number of things could have swung this game. But I think that FlyQuest, they all get along really well. They have great atmosphere on their team. And I'm sure that even when they're down 10K gold with seemingly no plays they can look for when top lane is at such a disadvantage, I can only imagine they were just staying calm, looking for the opportunities, and they did present themselves. They capitalized on it, and it was aside from most of the game, it was a great finish by FlyQuest.
I think Keane in particular deserves a lot of credit because he was the one who was kind of forcing mistakes out of 100 Thieves, where he helped blow up Onda one time in the top lane, helped threaten Ssumday another time, that forced early out of Onda where they found the pick off again. I think he did a good job making sure to put 100 Thieves so they couldn't close the game out, which then finally resulted in that crazy, crazy base race.
And while it was a huge moment for the FlyQuest organization and the players themselves, it was an equally big moment for FlyQuest fans around the world. We actually are going to take a look at a viewing party that was taking place at a Dave & Buster's in Westchester. FlyQuest fans very happy to see their team in that base race and to come out on top of it all.
I'm literally
pretty cool.
Gonna use this story in solo queue. As soon as my top laner starts raging at like 10 minutes when he gets, triple killed or something, I'm like, But have you heard the story
Right.
of FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves?
Gather round.
They
my
came back.
teammates.
Wait,
we
wait.
can win.
For I have a tale to tell you.
Wait, let's change the
of
script.
triumph.
I don't want people not forfeiting my games.
You want
If I'm down 10K, go next. Go next. Don't keep me in this game.
This doesn't inspire you at all, man? Anything's possible, Medios.
In LCS, you don't forfeit because the games matter. In solo queue,
What
save
if
your
it's the
LP.
fifth promo?
Take the loss.
Yeah, it's my promos, bro.
Fifth game.
Okay, game 5.
My
you
games
played out.
matter.
All right.
You played out in the promos.
All right, there you have it. Solo queue tips from Medios. Up next is Team Liquid versus CLG, where Freak is in the NALCS Lounge with Blabber, Golden Glue, and Zazel. Listen to their cast of the game on Riot Games 2 after the break.
I got a bigger table.
Yeah. Bigger table.
That table's huge.